House Bill 813 by Representative McCormick to amend Title 14 relative to abortion, to amend the definition of person, unborn child, provide for defenses, prosecution, enforcement of abortion.
Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm proud and honored today to bring you HB 813. For just a minute, I'm asking each of you to ignore every political argument that is surrounding this legislation and listen to your conscience. If you are pro-life and believe that life begins at conception, and you believe that we must protect that life, HB 813 is the only bill providing equal protection to the born and preborn people alike. This is a thorny political question, but we all know that it is actually very simple. Abortion is murder. And as lawmakers, we have the responsibility to end it. You can't claim to be pro-life and vote to kill HB 13 by amendment. If you're pro-life and believe that life begins at conception, and you must stand for equal protection of the preborn. As Roe versus Wade is close to ending, it is time for Louisiana to stand up and end abortion. If we're not willing to do this now, when will we? The vast majority in this room claim to be pro-life. Yet today, when Roe is on the chopping block and we have the clear opportunity to end abortion in our state, we are faltering and trying to explain it away. If your life was in danger, you would want equal protection. If 20 of us were slated for murder today, we would want equal protection now. That's the beauty of 813. It provides equal protection, and it does so without affecting ethical, IVF, or the use of contraceptives. It does so without any retroactive effect on any part of Louisiana law. And it does it so in a way that protects mothers who are being coerced into an abortion. And even better, House Bill 813 provides the tools necessary to prosecute pimps and traffickers who are currently coercing women and getting away with it. The Word of God says, we are fearfully and wonderfully made, known by our Creator from our mother's womb. Doctors and scientists have confirmed that belief. DNA proves that without a question. Scientific knowledge has improved, and because of it, we are faced with a moral and ethical decision to make. Will we be prideful and stand by our own ways of ignorance, or will we admit we're constantly learning? It's okay to change our minds, even on a big issue like this one. Today is uncomfortable, very uncomfortable, for me too, but it's historic. After this vote, your name will be written on one side of history or the other. And regardless of how you vote, abortion is going to be abolished. The question is whether you help it end today or we prolong the killing. If we don't believe life begins at conception, we need to admit that. If we do believe that life begins at conception, then we should protect it. Please vote today using your moral compass and nothing else. Politics should never decide who lives and who dies, not in America. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right. Question on the bill, Representative Ivey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative McCormick, obviously the decision of possibility that the Supreme Court will overturn Roe v. Wade is potentially pending based on the leaked opinion, but your bill doesn't account for that potential, and your bill does it not include that for your law to be effective, we have to ignore Roe v. Wade today.
Are you asking me that?
Yes, it's in your bill, correct?
When this bill is signed, yes.
Okay, so The question is, does your bill end abortion in Louisiana by simply ignoring the United States Supreme Court's ruling on Roe v. Wade?
Say it again.
Okay.
I don't
Does
hear
you-
well, and I'm not getting
In
understand.
order to end abortion in Louisiana today, does your bill simply ignore the United States Supreme Court's decision on Roe v. Wade?
No. Actually, my bill agrees with the decision that was leaked out by the Supreme Court.
No, I'm talking about today. That's a pending, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm saying, so ignore what might happen with the overturning. Your bill in its current posture, does it require Louisiana, our judges, law enforcement, everyone else, to ignore the current decision of Roe v. Wade by the Supreme Court in order to make this happen?
Well, Roe v. Wade has been decided. There's another case in court.
Again, we're talking about ending today, based on what the
today my bill's not
decisions have
going
been
into effect,
today.
so it doesn't apply to today.
But you're telling me, right, we're going to end abortion today. So anyway, so you refuse to answer that question where your bill says, and let me just quote your bill for the folks at home who may not have read it, because the title's very misleading. It says, recognize the United States Constitution, laws of the states are supreme law of the land. Treat as void and of no effect any and all federal statutes, regulations, treaties, orders, and court rulings which would deprive an unborn child of the right to life or prohibit the equal protection of such right. And so we merely ignore what current the Roe v. Wade decision is.
I honestly don't understand.
And that's okay. I understand
I'm
you don't
sorry.
understand. You wouldn't have brought this if you did. So does your bill statutorily require judges to ignore Roe v. Wade or any other court ruling or federal law that contradicts your bill? Okay, let me read your text for you because you haven't read your bill in a while.
I would.
Okay, it says.
Could I get somebody to come down here and tell me what he's saying? I honestly can't hear and understand.
You can't hear what I'm saying?
I can't understand. I can hear
Okay,
you.
let me speak slower for you.
Okay.
Okay. Does your bill statutorily require judges in Louisiana to ignore the Roe v. Wade decision or any other future court ruling or other future federal law that would contradict your bill?
Yes.
It does. Okay. And so in your bill, would all Louisiana judges be subject to impeachment proceedings if they do not ignore Roe v. Wade, future United States Supreme Court rulings, or federal laws that are contradictory to your bill?
Judges are a subject to impeachment.
We understand that, but
Sure.
you would make this singular action of not ignoring federal law, Supreme Court rulings, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so they'd be subject to impeachment. Okay. So our founding fathers designed our system of government to be comprised of three separate but co-equal branches. Your bill clearly violates this separation of powers doctrine.
No, it
Do
doesn't.
you believe it is okay to violate constitutional separation of powers in order to abolish abortion in the state of Louisiana?
No.
Okay. If a woman uses contraception that has the potential to prevent the implantation of an embryo, could she potentially be charged with murder, and if convicted, be imprisoned for life?
No.
Okay. Do you know which contraceptive? Okay, well, so an IUD could not, the use of an IUD would not let, no woman would be prosecuted for murder if they used an IUD, and while using that IUD, it prevented the implantation of an embryo.
Well, my bill would do away with abortifacients.
But that's not an abortifacient.
Okay, well, that's your opinion. I don't think that's the opinion of others.
Okay.
I don't know.
So-
It doesn't eliminate contraceptives. Contraceptives keeps a woman from conceiving. That's the definition of contraceptive.
Okay, well, is the prevention of implantation part of contraceptions?
No. Inflation and when the sperm enters the egg, that's when it takes place.
What takes place?
When life begins, that's when it takes place.
I understand, but
And anything that kills that egg afterwards is aborting it.
but
Now,
preventing
now,
implantation doesn't kill the egg, does it? Or does it kill the embryo, right?
We're talking about contraceptives here.
Okay. So, Mr. Speaker, I'll rest my questions.
Thank you.
All right. Do we have any amendments?
Yes, sir, Mr. Speaker. There are two sets of amendments at the desk. The first set of amendments is a one-page set offered by Representative McCormick, set number 3947. Those amendments are technical only.
All right. Any objection to the adoption of the technical amendment? Seeing none, amendments are adopted. Next amendment.
Next set of amendments is a three-page set of amendments authored by Representative Seaball and others. That set number is 4357.
All right. Representative Seaball.
Okay, thank you. I was just checking the amendment number. Several of you co-authored amendment set that was, I had number 4001, so apparently somewhere the amendment number changed, but it's the same one. It's the same amendment that we've previously talked about and some of you have seen. Look, Louisiana's been called the most pro-life state in the nation. Most of us are. I am. Look, pro-life bills fly off of this floor with little to no opposition, and they have for generations, for decades. We have many, many laws which protect the unborn in Louisiana. We have the most stringent abortion protections in the nation within the law. They have triggers. They say when Roe v. Wade is overturned or something else, a federal constitutional amendment, anything along that line that would remove the restrictions placed on us by Roe versus Wade, then these laws go into effect. We started out by allowing abortion only before 20 weeks. There was a bill outlawing abortion after 20 weeks, then after 15 weeks, then after 6 weeks. We had the partial birth abortion ban. We had the fetal heartbeat bill. There's a lot of protections for the unborn in Louisiana that exist. And as soon as Roe v. Wade is overturned, they're going to go into effect, and the unborn will be protected in Louisiana. House Bill 813 has a number of problems. Representative Ivey actually did a very good job of going over some of those, the separation of powers and constitutional issues specifically. The U.S. and Louisiana constitutions lay out a system of separation of powers. We have an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judicial branch. The legislative branch does not get to tell the judicial branch how to rule on cases. That's what this bill does. It declares itself to be constitutional, and it says any ruling that contradicts with the bill is unconstitutional and must be ignored, must be enjoined. You just can't do that. That's not a power that the legislature has. We can't grant ourselves the power to order a court to rule a future act unconstitutional. We just can't do that. It is very problematic. And look, I think Roe versus Wade is one of the worst decisions that's ever come out of the U.S. Supreme Court, ever. Up there with Dred Scott and a couple of others. It is an abomination, in my opinion. But it's the law. Like it or not, it is the law. It's been the law for almost 50 years. Well, it is the law. And look, I grade the constitutional law section of the bar exam. Every year, there is a question on the exam about a bill, hypothetical, passed by the Louisiana legislature. Every year. And it's some kooky law. So when I'm reading bills, I look for, is this a good bar exam question? This isn't even a good bar exam question. I promise you, if any examinee read this and argued that it was not a violation of the state and federal constitution, he's going to fail the bar exam immediately, because it's not even close. But this bill has problems other than constitutional. It criminalizes essential elements of in vitro fertilization. It does not actually specifically make in vitro illegal, but it makes elements that are essential to successful in vitro fertilizations illegal. We all know people who were not able to conceive except for in vitro fertilization. It is not something that I'm ready to outlaw. It criminalizes women. Say that however you want, but this bill criminalizes women. One of the issues that Representative Ivey brought up is the judges can be removed or impeached if they rule against this bill. The only way that I know of to remove a judge is to impeach them. So I don't know what the or is, removed or impeached, but it just doesn't seem to make any sense. And look, let me be very clear. If passage of House Bill 813 would prevent one abortion, I would not be standing here right now. But this bill will not prevent a single abortion from occurring, not one. If anybody has told you that passage of 813 will prevent a single abortion, they misled you or they don't know how the law works. Because the fact of the matter is, if we pass this bill and the Senate passes this bill and the governor signs this bill, it will be enjoined the next day. Because Roe versus Wade is still the law of the land. The U.S. Supreme Court said you can't do this. So the injunction would go into place and it would not be lifted until Roe versus Wade is overturned. And guess what? We already have laws which are going to go into effect when Roe versus Wade is overturned. So we don't need this bill. It's already protected. And look, we're a nation of laws. I've heard a lot. There's a guy wearing a shirt outside, and I have several people tell me, why don't we just ignore Roe? Wouldn't that be fun if we could just ignore the Supreme Court? Look, we're a nation of laws. We can't do that. But let me give you a hypothetical. Let's say that right now, one of the penalties for murder is the death penalty. It's available, it's in the books. If you know somebody has committed murder, you cannot go over to their house and shoot them. You can't do that without facing the consequences. It is itself, in fact, murder. You can't do that. We cannot ignore the law. We have a rule of law in this country, and we can't do that. Look, the Representative McCormick is obviously committed. He has deep commitment. The people here supporting him have commitment. But this bill's passage would not prevent a single abortion, not one. And I would like to go ahead and offer the amendment at this time, which I'll have on your computer. I don't know if it's been passed out, but you can see there, it is essentially Representative Jackson's Senate Bill 342. It keeps the Roe versus Wade triggers in place. If and when Roe versus Wade is overturned, those triggers go into law. It clarifies some of the law. It has a severability clause. It clarifies what Louisiana law will go into effect when Roe versus Wade is overturned. It specifies that it is unlawful for a physician to perform the abortion. It specifies the criminalization of the physician or other person who performs the abortion, not the woman seeking abortion. It does not outlaw contraception with the moniker, if it is administered prior to the time when a pregnancy could be determined through conventional medical testing. It does not criminalize any aspect of in vitro fertilization. And it does not apply any criminal penalties to the pregnant female. That has always been an essential element of pro-life law. Louisiana law has always been about protecting the babies and protecting the women. And this amendment will continue that. The bill 813 in its current form does not. Personally, I want to apologize to each and every one of you. This bill came through Criminal Justice Committee. I sit on that committee, and I should have done this in committee, and I didn't. I voted the bill out of committee because by the time I figured out what I was supposed to do, it was too late. We're having to do this here. If we had done our job in committee, we could have amended it in committee, and we could have avoided this. And for that, I want to apologize to you because I didn't have the idea soon enough. Based upon the leaked opinion that we all read a couple of weeks ago, it looks like Roe versus Wade is about to be overturned. We're on the precipice of the most significant pro-life victory in this country in 50 years. We should be celebrating together, embracing each other as brothers in Christ. We should not be at each other's throats over a bill that is blatantly unconstitutional, makes criminals out of women, would not prevent a single abortion, and as far as I can tell, was only presented to give a couple of misguided people a platform. So I ask you please join me in approving this amendment, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, we do have a question. Representative McGee for a question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative, under Louisiana's law on murder,
Currently or in the bill?
Current law of murder does not prescribe, is that correct?
That's correct.
So if this bill was to pass, you could go back and arrest every woman who had an abortion. Is that correct?
There's some language in the bill that attempts to prevent that, but I don't believe it would be effective. So the answer to your question, I think, is yes.
And if if, under Louisiana law principle, then you could also arrest the father as well. Is that correct?
Theoretically, yeah.
Possibly the
Yeah.
mother.
Yes.
Would you agree with me the most powerful testimony at a pro-life rally or any pro-life argument is a woman who regrets having an abortion?
I'm sorry, can you say
Would
that
you
again?
agree with me that the most powerful testimony that anybody can give for pro-life argument is a woman who had an abortion who regrets her decision?
Yes,
So we would be potentially arresting that woman.
that would be correct, yeah.
You would agree with me that IVF brings life into this world.
Absolutely.
And under this law proposed by Representative McCormick, the parents could be arrested for murder for trying to have a baby.
Yes,
The doctor could be arrested for murder for trying to help people have a baby.
if the fertilized embryos are destroyed, yes.
And you would agree with me, these people spend thousands of dollars to bring these kids into the world,
Absolutely,
to love them, to nurture them, to care for them.
yes.
And under your amendment, that's no longer possible, correct? The IVF stuff.
Clarify the question. The bill
Under-
does not affect IVF, current laws on IVF in any way.
So your amendment's is going to take out of all the stuff
Yes.
in Representative McCormick's bill where we could have prosecuted
Yes,
loving couples who want to bring babies into the world.
correct.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you.
All right, no more questions. Is there any objection to the adoption of the amendment? All right, on your objection.
I do appreciate y'all being here today, but I do want to thank all of my supporters that are here today. Now, this is an odd place, because a week ago, the gentleman that's offering the amendment was one of my biggest supporters and encouragers in telling me that it's time to do this. But this isn't about me. It's not about anybody in this room. It's about the 20 babies a day that are being ripped out of the wombs of the mothers by hands, by their feet, and tore apart. That's something we need to address. But evidently, the political winds are blowing, and it won't be addressed today. I'll be glad when we come in here and we can abolish abortion, do away with it, be done with it. That's what I'm looking forward to. The main reason I can't support this amendment is because this amendment does away with equal protection. Equal protection gives the unborn baby the same rights as a born baby. That's what it does. You know, it's really simple. And if we don't do that, if we vote for this amendment, we say those babies are subhuman. Now, if we don't believe life begins at conception, hey, I understand that completely. I understand. But my conviction is solid. And like I've asked Representative Seaball when he supported my bill, and everybody in here that talked to me, bring me an amendment. We want to work with everybody in here. We want to make this bill better. Not one amendment, not one conversation that brought an amendment to the floor. You know, we talk about Representative Seaball sits up here and shoots holes in this legal document. All due respect, I love him. But he's an insurance attorney. If I went to him and asked him to defend me in this case, he would say you would need to go hire somebody that knows something about this. Now, as you very well know as lawyers, we can put 20 in a room and they can argue what the definition of is for 3 days. It's that simple. But anyhow, I do appreciate your time, and I do respect all of you, and I thank you for the opportunity, and God bless you.
All right, Representative Seaball, close on your amendment.
It's true, I am an insurance attorney. But who'd you rather take legal advice from? Anyway, do the right thing and vote for this amendment. Thank you.
All right. Representative Seaball offers up an amendment which Representative McCormick objects to. All those in favor of the amendment vote yea. Those opposed vote nay. The clerk will open the machine. Members, vote your machines. Vote your machines, members. Vote your machines. You through voting? Through voting? All right. Close them up. 65 yeas, 26 nays, and the amendment is adopted. Representative McCormick on your bill.
Hello, and like I said, I do want to say I appreciate this, and I don't want this conversation to end. but I think it's ended for today. Mr. Speaker, if you don't mind, I'd like to remove this bill back to the calendar. And we appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Without objection. Next bill.